You know what sounds good tonight is get some buttered chicken from Indian Delight. I may order me some Indian Delight here in a second.
Buttered chicken.
All right,
butter chicken.
Man, Kebab and Curry has the best butter chicken down here. That is on another level. It's so good that, like, you'll order something else. You'll be like, I'll get it next time. And then when you next order the butter chicken, you'll be like, man, I was an idiot. I should have been ordering. Like, you'll immediately, like, regret all the times you did not order it. And you'll just feel like an idiot. Like, I don't know why I keep forgetting that it is just the best and should be what I'm ordering every time I walk through the door.
Yeah, we ordered. Yeah, this is one of the few situations where my wife ordered the buttered chicken and I ordered the curry. And usually I order the better thing of the two, and she steals mine, but I end up stealing hers. So no, it's definitely really tasty.
Oh crap! I want to reboot my system. I lost all my bookmarks, so give me just a second, guys. You guys can.
You didn't think that was going to happen?
Well, normally when I close down my system like that, when Chrome pops back up, it'll reopen.
Restore?
Yeah.
Yeah, give you the restore
But it didn't
option.
do the restore option for some reason.
Chrome plotted against you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all right. Like you said, man, it's man, we have been bouncing around, man. I mean, we and Blacks just chat about our, like, the desert of co-op right now. Like, we're in this, like, struggling. It's really hard to have one friend is pure Xbox, the other one is Xbox and PC. You're trying to find, like, the co-op game that isn't from, like, 2002. You know? And you're just, like, scrounging for a co-op game, and we have had, like, so little luck. The few things that pop up that are co-op will, like, immediately be a trash fire, like Redfall. Or, you know, we'll have that unfortunate bad luck where I end up grinding my character up on, like, PC, and he's on Xbox, and it's like, I'm not regrinding all of my Remnant 2 stuff. So we do need to go ahead at some point and try to see if we can figure out how to get that. Because supposedly crossplay works, but, like, I think we have to go through Epic. So, like, I've linked up to Epic. So once Bloodaxe does his, hopefully we'll be able to link up and I'll be able to play with him through crossplay. Hopefully. I don't know. Like, it's a little janky the way the Epic crossplay seems to work on my system, so we'll see. I'm curious if you'll pop up on my friends list. We'll see what happens.
I signed in to the Epic Store, was it last weekend or whenever it was? Yeah, so I connected my account to it.
I mean, like I said, you should be able to do it when you pull up Remnant 2. Because, like, when I did it, I pulled up Remnant 2. It popped up in the corner, and it was like, link your Steam to Epic. And you should be able to do the same thing with your Game Pass. So you need to do it through Remnant 2. When you do that, you should start being able to see me when I'm on Remnant 2, and I should be able to see you. So you just need to tell me when to go log Remnant 2, because I'm playing Dragon's Dogma right now, Dragon Dogma 2 right now, obviously. But I'll go jump on, man, just to take a break, you know, and do something different. Because, you know, trying to get, like, Xeno to play a co-op game is like trying to fight Xeno. They might as well just come over here and start a fist fight. That's more co-op. I have a better time just starting a fist fight with them. In fact, it's easier to start a fist fight. You know what I'm saying? You know, than to get him to cooperate. So I have an easier time getting him to let me play him in Tekken 8, and I'm such a bully in Tekken 8. I'm like, really? You'd rather play me in Tekken 8 than cooperate with me on the mini games we share on PC? The mini games we share on Last Epoch, Power World, Remnant 2, Diablo. We have so many games. Yeah, there you go. There you go. He'd rather play me in Tekken 8.
I've been playing No Man's Sky. You can get on there with me.
You'll stop playing No Man's Sky.
Probably. I'm about done.
That's the only reason I haven't gotten Enshrouded, because I don't want to ruin your fun on Enshrouded and make you quit.
I haven't played Enshrouded since February 16th.
Because you thought I was going to buy it. Probably. I said, man, I might get Enshrouded. I bet he turned it, but he uninstalled it.
No. Look, I played Enshrouded with Mike, and I did it for Mike because we play these games and we include Mike, but Mike doesn't have the time to play like we do. So I was like, well, Enshrouded, I'll just only play when Mike plays. And I know if me and you were both playing, that would not happen. Because we would have had an Empire.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Archmage, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm not walking backwards through Remnant 2 on Apocalypse difficulty, one-shotting everything on the screen. Yeah. Like, I had to make a dumbed-down character build to play online with people so they get to play. I said, let me alter this build so they'll see the enemies. Because I was killing enemies through walls.
Yeah.
And people didn't know what was on the stage. It was like, wow, there are a lot of enemies.
I think our world's glitched.
They're like, where are the enemies? And I'm like, I didn't kill everything through the wall. So I had to change my build so they'd be seeing enemies. And I'd be like, I'll kill these over here. Because I had actually got a build to where I would swing the sword and numbers would pop up through walls.
Oh, that stupid sword, man.
No, I had the vial where it was spreading through the walls. Mm-hmm. So half the time I would kill stuff through walls. So enemies, they'd be walking around like.
Yeah. All right, let's get started. Welcome to Dicejunkies. I'm Xenodamus. I'm here with
Q.
And on Skype,
we have Bloodaxe.
All right, let's get started. Hey, since it's we'll start off with this one while it's still somewhat fresh in your mind. Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire was released this week, and our boy Bloodaxe went to go see it. Of course, no spoilers here, but what'd you think, man?
From a fan of the original film back in it was 85. There's enough drawback from the lore and nostalgia that it definitely was a sequel to Afterlife. The movie itself, it had some lazy writing in several places, and that's my biggest critique, is some of the writing just wasn't as up to par as what we had got back even in Afterlife. But from a Ghostbusters perspective, it had quirky laughs like we've become used to. There's a lot of throwbacks. There's a lot of cameos, which we always want to see. Cameos from characters from the past, and there's quite a few of those. My kids enjoyed it. It's something that we did as a family, and I'm glad we went. Could it have been better? Yeah, absolutely. But it definitely wasn't 2016 bad. One of the things I did enjoy about it was how they expanded on the lore of the world, but it was a completely different, say religious aspect, but it was unrelated to Gozer or any of the other things that we've seen in the past. So it was a fresh new villain, a fresh new take, and it had enough breadcrumbs to where if you're paying attention, you can probably figure some of the stuff out. But even if you're not, there was enough twists and things in there that made it an enjoyable movie. The main villain I thought was extremely well done, and that's one of the things that is always a hallmark of a good film, is having a villain that's they lay out the why, and not just like Apocalypse was in X-Men Apocalypse, but there was actually a reason why he is doing what he's doing. And the fact that, you have to team up together in order to overcome the the problem. So
how did the nostalgia feel in it? I know a lot of times you'll get these movies that are coming back from an older movie, and the nostalgia feels like it's in there just for nostalgia's sake. I mean, did they blend it in pretty well, or?
I think they did. There was one callback that it's funny that they complaining about this one thing and they were like, well, you go deal with it. And so one of the the guy that played Mike in Stranger Things, he goes off and he finds what's going on, and it's a throwback to a very, very iconic Ghostbusters 1 throwback, but it was well worked in. Even some of the people from the first movie that had maybe 60 seconds, 2 minutes worth of screen time, they're thrown back in there again, but it was well done. So yeah, I don't think anything was shoehorned except for one specific scene, which we're not going to talk about, but again, no spoilers. There was something that I thought was kind of definitely forced into the movie that really wasn't necessary. But for the most part, it's definitely, 7.5 stars out of 10-point scale. Yeah. It's if you liked Ghostbusters and if you liked Afterlife, you'll enjoy this. I mean, this felt like a sequel to Afterlife.
Okay. And that falls about in line, I think, with the audience score we're seeing on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got an 84, 86. You're putting it at about a 75 with a critic score of about a 43. Critics apparently did not care for it.
It's always a good time.
But, yeah.
No, low critic score is a real good time for a movie.
When the audience score is high and the critic score is low, that usually is right up my alley.
Yeah. I mean, a high critic score is a bad sign. It's a bad sign. It means that there's something wrong with it.
Yeah. Now, on a little bit of a side note, Ghostbusters, with this movie, the franchise joined the $1 billion club as the collective franchise has earned over $1 billion in theaters.
Mm-hmm. Good for them. But the reason I wouldn't give it a 84 like we're seeing here is because I think there was some writing opportunities to make the story a little bit stronger. There's just some boneheaded decisions they made with some of the writing that I couldn't excuse, but that's just me being nitpicky.
Cool. All right. And you got anything to say on Go? I mean, we haven't seen it, me or Q, so not really a lot to say other than I'll probably check it out one. I'm not a big theater person anymore. I've sort of gotten away from going into theaters, so I don't really see going to theater to see it. Do you?
They need to make one more movie and get about $200 million so they could just erase the 2016 from that count, so they can legitimately cross the $1 billion.
I don't know. I mean, if this one makes enough money, maybe it could cross it.
Yeah, maybe it could cross it out, and then they can say they reached the $1 billion club legitimately.
It's funny you mentioned that, Zeno. The last movie that we went to go see was Spider-Man No Way Home. So. Even from I used to love going to the theater, but now it's going to be something that either A, I'm going to go with my kids to go see, or B, it's something that I have to watch in the theater. And right now, there's nothing on in the pipeline. Even if the Star Wars movie came out, I don't know if I'd be interested in going to the theater to watch that because it's just not something that I feel I have to go see in the theater. But yeah, you're right. I would rather watch everything at home now myself.
I mean, Spider-Man was also the last movie I went to theater to see, so.
Yeah, Spider-Man. Yeah. Though for me, it was Miles Morales.
But yeah, No Way Home was the one that I'd seen. So
my
it's been a while.
Boys love those movies, so we usually go to see those in the theater.
Well, speaking of theatrical,
theatrical radicalized.
Speaking
of radicalized movies.
Radicalized. Now, Star Wars: The Acolyte trailer. Was
trying not to look at Bloodaxe. I don't even want to see his face.
Well, I mean, Blood's our Star Wars guy, man. Now, a lot of people are talking crap about this. Apparently, the person involved in creating the film had a lot more to say outside of the trailer. Like, watching the trailer, I caught some things, It
was better just he opened her mouth. Like, but yeah. I never seen a creator make it so much worse Because he was looking at me like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, click on her face. And then she started talking, and I just saw him go, oh. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, she's the problem. Like, she starts talking, and it just starts going.
I mean, there were some ticks, like some people pointed out. It's like, oh, look, out of all the Jedis, there's not a single white male in the class and stuff like that. No, I don't pay attention to stuff like that really, unless you point it out to me usually, because I just don't care.
I don't know. To me, that was little stuff that was amusing to me.
Yeah.
But when she started opening her mouth, I said, well, I can't ignore what she's saying.
Well, no, and that's the thing. Once you hear some of the stuff she says, then you go back and you start noticing, there's really a lack of that.
Well, it goes from crazy theories from like YouTubers who are prone to jumping onto that stuff to, oh, no, she's saying it's very intentional. And I'm like, oh, well, I can't defend you if you come out and say you're doing the thing. Yeah. Like, I can go, hey, man, I like Doomcock. I like this guy. I like Jeremy. But they sometimes go off half-cocked. Yeah. But when you come out and go, I'm doing this, I got to go, okay, you heard her. She's doing that.
I mean, basically, she said, I've got an agenda, and then I'm pulling from Kathleen Kennedy
I'm sprinkling Star Wars
and
on
George
top of my
Lucas to tell
this very specific story.
It's like the Star Wars is not the story. Star Wars is
the flavor.
Just the flavor, yeah.
And I mean, she says that directly. She literally says, I'm telling a blah story, because I'm not triggering anybody, a blah story, and then I've got to go get some Star Wars and sprinkle Star Wars on top of this story. And I'm like, it's not a Star Wars movie.
It's not a Star Wars story. Star Wars is what's getting her the funding to tell her story.
Yeah.
What it is.
Now, in that vein, I said, well, I understand now the story. I actually did I not say that?
Yeah.
I looked at Zeno and said, well, I understand the mistakes. I understand you deciding then you didn't mess up the Jedi and Sith story, because it's not the Jedi and Sith. You're telling a story about anti-establishment. You just decided to go, well, who's establishment? I don't know, the Jedi. And who's the rebels that are fighting against the evil establishment? The Sith. Because you're not talking about the Sith and the Jedi. You're telling an anti-establishment story. Who's your hero? Well, it's this person. Now, we're going, how the heck is your hero a Sith? But you're going, because it isn't about the Sith. It's about my heroine. I'm telling a story about a heroine, and she happens to be Sith. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And in her defense, I know this sounds crazy.
And a sprinkling of Sith at that, because
she's not really a Sith.
Yeah.
Because it's not about evil or good. It's about power and who gets to wield it. A literal line from the show that I had to remind him. Because it's not about good and evil. Because it's not a Star Wars story. Which literally, if you go back to George Lucas, he stated that Star Wars is fundamentally about good and evil. It is literally about good and evil.
Good and evil, and it's about family. And
so for her to say
it's always been about good, evil, and family. But they missed such a great opportunity to tell a anti-establishment story from a good perspective of, okay, we use the Force because it helps, gives us power, and the Jedi are the ones that are abusing it, and give us that 180-degree look at from a different perspective. That would have been fine if they had done it that way, but now they're shoehorning in something completely non-Star Wars. I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but they're taking the story in a perverted place that's making it to where it's not even fringe fans are going to enjoy it anymore.
Well, no, to go into that though, they could tell that story, but you have to also be realistic about it. You can tell that story, but you also have to understand that story comes from selfishness and a desire for your own power. You got to be realistic.
I mean,
you have to say
that's pretty much what's happening here, though, isn't it?
Yes, but you have to acknowledge that. You have to go, yes, because here's the thing: there is reasons for all things. Yeah, the Jedi are authoritarian, absolutely, but they're also doing that because the Force itself is an extreme power that corrupts. So there's, you know what the concept is? It's called gray. It's called the concept of there's gray areas. And I love a gray story. Personally, I've always felt that the Jedi aren't exactly right. Absolutely. But I've also felt that the Sith are definitely also not exactly right. I love a gray story where you get to see how both sides are both wrong and right, but that it means you'd have to admit you could be wrong, and we know that that ain't gonna happen. No way. And that's why the story will fail. Yeah. For example, show the picture. Pull the picture up. For example, we know the dark side is not good for your skin complexion. That's one of the first things the dark side does. So this is a poor understanding. But she's not telling a dark side story. Literally the first thing the dark side does is starts to warp your body. That is because the dark side is about indulgence. It's like a drug. And one of the first things it does is warps your body because you are overindulging yourself. But it also is freedom. You're overindulging yourself by being uninhibited. It's indulgence.
Flynn in the chat room says the Sith were very diverse in the High Empire era. Some were evil, some were neutral and uncaring or selfish. There were also different factions of Jedi in the High Republic era that used to have drag-out fights on issues. See the comic books.
Correct. This is actually a very long-standing conflict. There were Jedi that had families and actually were in love and did not believe in denying their emotions and felt that they should not be political. Fully were about apolitical and had quite a bit of conflict. There were Sith orders that felt that they're like, look, what's with all this killing each other? Like, we can pursue our goals without being psychopaths. That also could be the case. There were a lot of different stories to be told. I would love to see some of that intercom. You could have told a wonderful story here. Well, but dude, she said that's not what she's doing.
And see, and that's the thing. That's why when I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, because like you said, there are tons of factions. Mm-hmm.
You were hopeful.
Know somewhat of the comics. I'm familiar with the books. I haven't read all of them. I haven't read all the comics. I've sprinkled in here and there. So I do know that there's a vast. Now I know most of that stuff became non-canon after, the whole Disney thing. But that's why I was sort of giving it hope at first. I was like, I didn't see anything just blatant, watching the trailer. It was literally her that,
That's the sad part. If she stayed quiet, we could have stayed hopeful that that's what we were going to get. Also, there have been some interesting gray Jedi and dark Jedi that skirted that line in interesting ways. I would have loved it if this main character was a gray or dark Jedi who was bouncing between both factions, seeing the flaws in both, and trying to find her own way and forging a new path. That would have been an empowering and interesting story to follow. But that would have required effort.
So,
and also admitting potentially that she might have made mistakes in some of her choices. Which again, you can't make mistakes because then that means you might have been wrong.
Speaking of mistakes were made,
and you trying to imply that maybe they should have had that little interview with Sweet Baby Ink? Maybe that didn't go well. Let's have an interview with Sweet Baby Ink and call everybody a bunch of names. How's that going to work out for us?
Kotaku editor-in-chief resigns over new editorial edict. Basically, it has come down to the Kotaku staff that maybe they should actually be writing about game stuff and
no, interviews, man. Interviews.
And not being so damn political. So the editor-in-chief, she left after she says, after careful consideration, I have concluded that the current management structure and decision-making process at GO Media are not aligned with my values and goals for Kotaku. I firmly believe that the decision to invert Kotaku's editorial strategy to deprioritize news in favor of guides is fundamentally misguided given the current infrastructure of the site. Directly contradicted by months of traffic data and shows an astonishing disregard for the livelihoods of the remaining writers and editors who work here. So, I mean,
how dare they try to make us be about games?
One of the most hated, discussed, and one of the most made fun of, untrusted sources of news. Yes, it got traffic. It got traffic because people were shitting all over it.
Oh, it was fun to look at how dumb their takes were. Like, I watched the freaking Sweet Baby Inc. interview. I have never seen
way before
a
that,
more
though, man.
horrible
you mentioned
interview.
that's a current thing. But I mean, the thing is Kotaku's been going down this rabbit hole for a long time.
But you always got to talk about the latest Kotaku thing.
Well, yeah. But yeah, so apparently Kotaku is refocusing on guides.
Which meant that then, like, everybody quit, didn't they? Like, something like only six people
like six
stayed.
people, I think.
Because they were like, how dare you expect us to do our jobs? We're not going to do gaming work. How bad is your staff that when they tell you to start writing about games, nearly everyone quits? That means that Kotaku had staffed themselves with nothing but a bunch of pointless mouthpieces who don't care about video games. Like, it's like rats fleeing a ship. Am I wrong, Bloodaxe? Imagine if you went into your job and said, tomorrow I need you to actually start doing your job, and you didn't even fire everybody, they quit. You said, I want you to actually start doing your job tomorrow, and only 6 people stayed. How do you get infected with that much uselessness? That's almost horrifying to realize you had been paying that many useless people at once.
Well, I mean, it goes to show you that once upon a time when money was plentiful, you could get away with a lot of fat around the edges and not have a lot of substance. But now things are getting more lean, you're having to actually produce, and we're realizing that a lot of these people don't know how to actually work for a living.
And this is not me being a hypocrite. Y'all normally hear me say I value people's jobs, I hate to see people lose their jobs. This is not that. I hate to hear about firings. People need their livelihoods. I'm very serious about that. These people quit. These people quit. That is different. Am I right? They quit, right? They quit. That is different. They quit. You quit your job, that's on you. And if you quit your job just because they asked you to work, that's double on you. You weren't discriminated against. You weren't harassed. They said, write gaming journals at a gaming website. What does it say? Gaming reviews, news, tips, and more. The first thing is gaming reviews. You're a gaming website. They said write gaming guides and you quit. Screw you. That is not the same thing.
They're having to do like 50 a week. That's insane. There's no way they can do 50 a week.
Depends on the number of people, man. That might be one review a person.
Well, you got to also understand the guides, though. Look, here's their tips and guides. 9 things to know before starting Rise of the Ronin. I don't even have to play Rise of the Ronin to do that. I can write that up in a day, in less than a day.
Yeah. Final Fantasy best material for dealing magic damage. That's a one-pager, man.
18 things to know before starting Dragon's Dogma 2.
And I bet you those 18 things I could say, and I've only played like 20 hours.
It's a paragraph.
It's a paragraph.
It's a paragraph. Oh, it's a slideshow.
Oh my God, it's a slideshow, dude. It's a slideshow.
Well, it's got a paragraph with each one of the slides.
Yeah, I can write that in a week.
But did you also
probably one person,
stealing
dude.
other people's content now?
Like, do you believe that Kotaku doesn't have 50 people? That's probably one person.
Not anymore.
Huh?
Well, yeah, not anymore.
Well, not anymore. Well, now that's now that's like 8 a person. But that's still 8 a person a week. That's a little over 1 a day. I do more than that a day in my job of reports. Dude, I do like 10 days reports.
This
like
is an article written on March 20th about Stardew Valley.
So, I mean, I'm not saying it's a light workload, but back when they had a full staff.
Will Rowe just dropped 2 Stardew Valley game tips.
On one day.
Look
at that. So 3. He also got another one on March 20th. Look at that. Oh my. He's got 3 out in one day.
The best unit formation and strategy for clearing unicorns.
So one dude had 3 out. Chris has got 2 out in one day.
Yeah, here's Claire and with her almost 3. 3 in Final Fantasy.
And those are the last few days. So guess what? There's people working. The 6 that's left said we can handle it.
There's Claire with another Final Fantasy. So they also picking a game and doing bits.
Good Lord, yeah.
Claire, Final Fantasy. Claire, Final Fantasy. Kenneth here's doing Dragon's Dogma.
And think about it. Like I said, you would normally have
Dragon's
a staff.
Dogma is Kenneth. Final Fantasy's Claire.
So what it is, you can literally pick one game and crank out like 10. So if you had a staff of 50 people in an entire week, you might only have to do one or two of these. It's not insane. It's doable.
Yeah.
So no, it's possible. It's definitely possible. So, but the thing is that these people don't play games. I bet you half these people never touched a game. And that's what it is. They don't know anything about these games.
So it looks like there may be like 4 people still there writing.
I think they said it was 6. And the 6 people left.
Yeah, I'm looking at names here.
4, yeah. And these are the 4 people who were already playing video games and said, man, I can do that right now.
Let's see. Here's Levy window.
I'm not even joking. I've played Dragon's Dogma across the weekend for about 12 hours. Because I've had my son over, so I haven't got to play as much. He's been on his VR headset. I can sit down right now, and I'm being dead serious. I can give you 10 different tip articles from what I've learned from playing. I'm not kidding. I could do 10. I could have 10 before the day's out. Now, short ones, mind you, but I could do 10. Just stuff I've learned. I know where 2 Seekers tokens are. I've learned some tricks on casting. I've learned something about enemies. I got tips on starting. I can point you towards some good pawns to start off with. I know the first skill you should buy. I know the first support skill you should buy. I know the first core skill you should buy. I can write a first core skill, first support skill, first spell. Boom. First defensive spell. Look at that. That's 4 articles. Yeah, no, it's doable, man. It's doable. A week? Psh. I mean, again, if you split it up, 10, I could do 10 a week.
Like I said, they wanted a 50 a week for the whole
office.
Yeah,
that's doable. 50 a week was doable. When they had a full staff, definitely doable. It was very doable.
But anyway, I mean, hey, I get what they're doing. They're trying to get clicks, and Game Gods is a good way to do that.
I mean, yeah, I've clicked on stuff. I've clicked on 4 things on the way to your house, trying to find out where to get a good staff. I clicked on 4 different articles saying where to find the best staff. You want to know what's funny? None of them said crap. So they didn't tell me nothing. They were just like, go to the main city and look for a good staff in the store. I'm like, man, you son of a... That's the other thing. It doesn't even have to really be accurate. It can just be some bullshit. But being real, it can be some bullshit.
Hey, you gotta hit some accuracy though, because I mean, after a while, people will quit clicking if you never give
3 of the best
anything.
leveling guides I saw said, "Go fight monsters at night." I knew that. Now going out at night's a good time to get XP. I was like, oh, y'all sons of. So anyway, but I'm just saying though, but these people quit because they didn't need to be there. And you know what? It's good for Kotaku, for the people that own it. Nothing better than not having to waste the paperwork and money filtering out the dead weight. And you know what? Though I tease, I respect the people that quit. I really do. And the reason why is because at least they had the integrity. And this is real. You think I'm kidding. I'm being serious. The integrity to go, this is not what I'm here for. This is not what I want to do. And they didn't waste people's time. And I'm being 100% honest. There is some integrity to going, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this job, and I'm not going to waste their time and mine. So hats off to you for at least looking and going, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to do this. I don't want to do this. This is not why I'm here. I'm here to spout my message, and I'm going to leave. That's better than wasting everyone's time.
All right.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's better.
Anything on Kotaku Bloodaxe?
No, I mean, you guys covered all the things that I've paid attention to throughout the week. So it wasn't a resource that I used myself. Yeah. So good riddance. I don't care, but no, I don't have anything extra to add to that.
All right. Well, follow up on Q's. I'm not going to do this. Let's jump over to Baldur's Gate 3. And Larian Studios that ain't going to do this no more. So Baldur's Gate 3 boss explains there's no bad blood with D&D license owner. A mid-split, Watsky is not to blame for us taking a different direction. Story is Larian Studios will not be making any DLC or any kind of future Baldur's Gate 3. Reason unclear.
There's no bad blood.
Some people say that Hasbro fired them or pulled the license. While coming from Larian, and maybe Larian's being nice, I don't know, they're saying, we really just don't do a lot of DLC and stuff like that, and we want to move on to the next big thing. So,
but see, Larian's done that every time there's been something. When people compare him to somebody, Larian has just been a very nice diplomatic in every scenario. And I like that about him. But unfortunately, because they've always been diplomatic, I think that they're just going, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's not Hasbro. It's Hasbro. Because I say that because Hasbro fired all the devs that worked on Baldur's Gate 3 from WotC. They canceled Starbreezer, Jabberwocky, all their other video games they had for D&D. Hasbro's been on a rampage, man. Like, Hasbro's been on a butt-kicking rampage, firing left and right. I fully believe that they, either burned their bridges with Larian or told Larian to screw off.
Well, and Larian was making a DLC, and this is where it starts getting interesting. Is apparently they did have Larian making a DLC, and you don't start something usually and not finish it without there being some kind of bad blood there. Now Larian says they were working on it. It really wasn't coming from the heart. When they canceled it, the devs were elated to hear the unannounced project was canceled. But
see, that costs money, though. Man, time is money.
Yeah, that's the thing. Money was lost there somewhere down the road. Somebody lost money, and I doubt we'll ever really know why, unless some insider decide, on Hasbro or Larian sides decides to leak something. I doubt it'll happen. You can email Zeno at Dicejunkies.com if you want to be that person.
Don't email me. I don't check my email.
You haven't.
I don't.
That's XENO at Dicejunkies.com.
I'm going to say, you misspell your own name. I'm going to clown you. You got it. Yeah, hit them with it, man. We'd love to know.
Oh, but like I said, though, you are right. Larian has been that sort of just that really, really, really gentleman, in the environment. Oh no, all games are good. You shouldn't rate our game against other people's game. They're different things. You can enjoy everything.
We think Starfield's a lovely game.
Yeah,
it's different.
So I do agree with you. I get your point of saying, can you really trust them? These guys are way too nice.
They wouldn't tell you Hasbro told us to go F ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't think they would say that. I think they would just be like, no bad blood. It's fine. We're going to go make Kingmaker with Pathfinder. I think you would just slowly start seeing other games coming out.
Which they did say, Wizards of the Coast has the license. They now are, Baldur's Gate 3 gaming license is back in their court. So it doesn't mean that there won't be an expansion. It just won't come from them, is what they said. So
they basically said that train wreck ain't our problem. We're still working on games. We're just not working with them. But no bad blood. But no, we're not. But no bad blood. But hell no, not us.
Larian also said that Baldur's Gate sold about 15 million copies. A lot of people have questioned the number of copies that Baldur's Gate has sold. If I'm going to trust somebody, the nice guys over at Larian are, I think, a trustworthy source.
I've been wanting some kind of number because I've been on a conspiracy theory tinfoil hat because just nobody will give me Baldur's Gate 3 numbers, and I'm just like, what's going on? Not because I don't think it's sold. It's just I don't know why Hasbro fired all those people that made them all that money. That's just so weird to me. Because I'm like, there's so many people to fire at Wizards of the Coast. Why'd you fire the money makers and not that dude who during the anniversary said all that effed up stuff? I'm like, fire that guy. That guy pissed off so many people. No, we're going to fire the people that made like the greatest, most successful game ever.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we already saw back in the previous layoff from Hasbro, Larian said, man, most of our contacts over at Hasbro are gone. The people that they worked with to make the game had gotten laid off already. So that's why also I guess I wasn't surprised that this whole thing dropped, is because, obviously Watsky doesn't know how to follow the money.
Well, like I said, it's like they were cutting ties with Larian or already in the process of it, which is a weird follow-up to the huge success. So it made me think that there was a secret massive failing somewhere in this process. I don't know.
I mean, to make this genre of RPG, this style of RPG sell 15 million copies is mind-blowing to me, because this has been a style of RPGs for a very long time, and they've always sort of been in a niche. They haven't been mainstream. They made the overhead style, turn-based RPG sell 15 million copies. I would have never believed somebody if they would have told me in 2023 there will be an RPG that sold 15 million copies as an overhead turn-based RPG. I would have been like, yeah, right.
I can't even bring myself to buy it. I can't stand. I'm so tired of that style. Possibly the greatest RPG of all time. I can't even watch gameplay for more than 5 minutes. I hate that style so much. Like, it bores me to sleep. I know it's weird, because when I watch the cutscenes, I see story, amazing. Combat starts, I'm like, and I just Divinity Original Sin 2 flashbacks of hours of just, I used to freaking go to sleep in the middle of playing that game, and I'll be in the combat.
I know, it's sad because the story's so awesome, but I mean, we have me and you both have sort of gone more to a faster pace.
I'm not even kidding. I would literally fall asleep sometimes. The battles would take so long. I would go to sleep, man, because I'd be playing late and I pass out. It's just.
I mean, dude, as much as I love JRPGs, I've fallen asleep playing a JRPG before.
Oh, yeah, I have too, man.
Yeah, being a combat system.
It's okay though. You don't die. It's turn-based.
Yeah.
You do that. Wake up, still in the fight.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my turn. That's the good thing.
Yeah.
Fall asleep in Ribbon 2 and you are dead. You wake up and you're just like, I'm at the World Stone. Okay, I clearly died. Fall asleep in Elden Ring, you may have died 5 times. They may have walked over to the bonfire and stabbed you 3 more times just for standing there. But yeah. I've unfortunately played way too, and I still, the problem is that there's enough similarity that if you play too much of that style, it will move over to another game, unfortunately. I played so much Original Sin 2 combat, I'm still on burnout mode. I'll admit it, I'm still burned out.
Oh, yeah.
Even now. But it's an amazing game, and everything I hear about is incredible, and I keep hoping the burnout will go away. But like I said, I can't even sit through watching more than about 10 or 15 minutes of it, just watching it without starting to get burnout again.
So what do you think, Blood? Did the Watsky pull the plug here, or is this a fine farewell?
Well, and that's the $1 million question, because some of the decisions they make no business sense at all. Just from my uneducated speculation, I think they believe they can do a better DLC than what Larian could do. That's asinine when you have 15 million copies sold. The developer that was that successful with getting the game launched should be able to do quality DLC. And you're like, don't hold my beer. I'm going to make a better DLC. So
you think they're still going to do a DLC?
I think they're trying to sell Dungeons and Dragons property that's what, and that may be why they're cutting ties, is trying to offload the property with as little strings as possible with it. And again, that's just speculation on my part.
That's the biggest speculation I've heard as well. is more of we're just attaching everything because we're going to sell.
Because, dude, I played Dark Alliance. You played Dark Alliance. You played Dark Alliance. They cannot believe they know how to make a video game, man. Oh, my God, that game. Oh.
Who did they? I mean, that wasn't them that made that game. Though.
I don't care. I blame them. I will always blame them. I will blame them for the end of all time. Oh, my God, Dark Alliance was such a, I mean, how, and it wasn't bad for the reason you think. It was like so, they could have just stole so many other games we played model, right, Bloodaxe, and made it better. Like,
yeah, it was they could have just copied. Invoke Studios.
They could have just stolen some crap from Unreal and slapped the skins on it and been better than what they gave us. We've played cheap crap on Game Pass that played better than Dark Alliance. Me and Bloodaxe have played random crap just to play co-op that played better than that.
I had forgotten from way back in the 80s that there were games that would rubber band you to catch up with somebody. In 2022, it's in Dark Alliance. You get too far away from the host, you get rubber banded right to where they're at. That's ridiculous.
Well said. It played like a much older game, didn't it? Like Dark Alliance felt like something from like PlayStation 2 or like first Xbox. Like it did not feel like.
Well, the thing is I played Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, and honestly,
you played better.
It was that's an old game. I mean, that's 2001, and I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, I know, right?
And I was sort of looking for an improved version of that, and I did. I got a very clunkier, slower paced game.
Like I said, I've literally played betas and third-party crap I got on Steam for $10 that played smoother. And that's why I was just like, how did you end up with such a poor quality game when you could have easily grabbed something off of Unreal Engine, an asset flip practically, skinned it, thrown on Dark Alliance skins, and ended up with something that probably was a bit smoother.
Yeah. Mike on Saturday says, does seem to be a regular occurrence across the board. Build up a company, then make it as simple as possible to be subsumed by a bigger entity. And I will say, yes, tech companies in general have become the stock market card game, trading card game, you know? It's like, oh, this tech company here, let's go buy it. Now let's try to trim it down to the point where we can sell it at a higher value as quick as possible, increase the profit margins. That, yes, when it comes to tech, that is the game until somebody buys it who actually gives a damn.
Very much. And I mean, same thing we had with Redfall. Just like you look at a game and you go, all right, so we don't want to run over time, so I'll make it quick. Here's the unforgivable sin to your boy Q. DJ Q here, just calling this out. I can forgive a game not being good, but I cannot forgive a game not hitting what I call the baseline. In this day and age, there's a baseline of game quality where you can look at every freaking game out there, and there's a base level of shooter, hack and slash, and fighter, right?
Yeah.
That you know how to do it because it already exists. You have no excuse to be below the baseline because it's already been done. So if nothing else, you should hit the baseline. That's all I'm saying. How do you make a game below the base tech we've hit?
That's I mean, we see that all the time, though. I mean, look at all these XCOM style games that have come out over the years. Now, XCOM came out, sort of revitalized that, system for the strategy turn-based games, and they did really good. And then you saw all these games using that same system, Shadowrun and all this other stuff, and none of them did it as good as what I would call the baseline XCOM.
It's true. Watching your boy Damien play XCOM, none of them quite seem to be as smooth as XCOM. Yeah. You're like, how are you worse than the older games?
Look at Dark Souls and Dark Souls-like games. A lot of them nobody really matches the company that did Dark Souls. You know,
Like Liza P. Combat it was atrocious.
yeah. All these other companies that try to copy, they have a baseline. They should be able to do something better, but
Or
they
at least
don't.
match.
I mean, we see it in the indie sphere all the time. You know, they do take things in the indie sphere. That's why we've been enjoying these $30 games lately, is because they're taking the baseline and they're adding elements that people want to see. But the larger companies are taking the baseline and going, throw some shit on there and see if it works.
And somehow
And
break
call
the
it
baseline.
call it a quadruple A game. You know?
Oh. No, I did a deep dive into that game, and I don't know how they messed it up so bad.
Yeah.
This is my son.
But yeah, so it seems like, you know, the big companies are taking these baselines and just making things worse, while the smaller companies are taking the baselines and going, these are the elements that work with this baseline, and these are some other elements that work on other things that weren't in that. Let's add those in and see if we can make something better. And a lot of them have pulled it off and made some really fun games. And to think if those companies had AAA budgets behind them.
Oh my gosh.
You know, I mean, dude, think if Pal World had a AAA budget behind it, or Enshrouded had a AAA budget behind it, or you know, any of these smaller game companies that we've enjoyed recently.
Hell, they would have sucked.
Last Epoch, if Last Epoch had Diablo 4 money behind it, I can only imagine what kind of game it would have been, you know.
I mean, with the weird inverse, I'm almost afraid it would have somehow been terrible, because I mean, that's the way they seem to do. You give them more money,
maybe
they drop
maybe
below the baseline.
yeah. Oh,
But like I said, and that's what gets me mad, is that, like, you look and go, how do you make a proper shooter? Okay, everyone knows how to do it. How do you then make a game where you screw this up? I'm just stunned.
Yeah.
I'm just like, but you know how to do this.
yeah. I mean, we got good, you know, looter shooter baselines. We've had some really good looter shooters, and then somebody messes them all up. You know, and I mean, honestly, one of the biggest problems we see on a lot of these is just promising things that don't work when the game comes out. But
like, how did Last Epoch know to not give something a drop rate of 0.001%?
Yeah.
But Diablo 4 thought it was a good idea to have something have a drop rate chance where, like, in the entire planet, one person gets it. And it's like, so in other words, that just doesn't exist. Most people just called Uber Uniques non-existent. So why'd you even make it? Why'd you even make it at that point? Like, it's just non-existent. Most people just wrote it off as non-existent.
Well, talking about baselines, Dragon's Dogma 2. I mean, this is basically baselining off of itself, man.
Hey, let me tell you something. Dragon's Dogma 2 is the best expansion to a game I've ever played. Like, if you love Dragon's Dogma 1, you'll love its expansion, Dragon's Dogma 2. I have been thoroughly enjoying it. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen 2 has been my favorite expansion to a game.
Oh, so anyway, there's been a lot of backlash coming over this, mostly over microtransactions, and then the other big issue has been De Nouveau.
Doesn't affect me either.
Which De Nouveau is apparently bricking the game on Steam. A lot of people have issues with when trying to put it on their Steam boxes and stuff like that, which run Linux. De Nouveau triggering manipulation. I mean, it's been pretty rough starting out here.
The primary issues are De Nouveau,
FPS.
You cannot delete your file except through a act of, like, amazing backflippery. So you basically have one file. You have one file, period. And it's not just like before where you could make a new character at least. It's like, no, you have one file. And unless you go through all these tricks, like literally tricking the cloud to delete it, you have one character forever. And, like, that's it. And like there's a way to do it, but it's literally like going through these loops to kind of overwrite your cloud save to do it. Otherwise, you really have one character. And I was just like, wow, never seen a game that literally says you get one character, period. But the frame rate, I will say the performance is tricky because when me and my son were on there and when I was doing other stuff, if you turn on anything else on your computer while you're playing Dragon's Dogma, like everything just practically freezes, man. You can't even be like in roll 20. Like I pulled up roll 20 and everything just died almost. And he turned on his VR, everything died. So it's like you play Dragon's Dogma and nothing else.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and that is I mean, part of the issue I think with the Nuvo, because the Nuvo is looking at everything you're doing outside of the game to try to stop you from doing hacks and cheats and stuff like that. Yeah, it looks for virtual drives and stuff like that.
But it's a single player game.
Yeah.
Why does it care if you're cheating if it's a single player game?
Well, I mean, cheating outside of their system, I guess. I don't know. Denuvo is a weird system. I've never been a fan of it. Speaking of, too, Denuvo unveils new tech that will make it easier for devs to track down leakers. It's doing, apparently, they're going to be implementing even more file tracking in Denuvo. So this may actually even create more problems with games using Denuvo. I thought that was interesting. So, yeah, a lot of people not happy with Denuvo. Okay, which, I'll be honest, almost every game that gets released with Denuvo gets people mad about it being released with Denuvo. So you would almost think that
well, I mean,
people would quit.
That's frustrating. So I didn't know this is egregious. I wouldn't have bought the game. I didn't know Denuvo was this much of a dang. I don't even care. I just don't like the practice. That sounds very invasive.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of invasive software. But to talk about the actual game,
the actual issues here that they mention are crashes and bug fixes. It says the option of saving a new game, and then frame rate. That's the biggest thing I've heard.
Well, having actually played the game's actually really fun. Like it's actually pretty fun. It is an improved Dragon's Dogma. If you enjoy Dragon's Dogma, I will say the game is very, very fun. As far as the DLC, there's literally nothing in there worth buying. So that's the biggest thing, is there's nothing in there worth purchasing that you can't get in-game. So I would tell anybody, if you just really want to buy port crystals, that's about the only thing that might, but you get port crystals in-game. And just like before, you can new game and go through the game again and get more port crystals. So technically, there's an unlimited amount of port crystals. So you only buy them to be lazy. Otherwise, you have no reason to buy anything there. Everything's acquirable in game. Everything is acquirable an unlimited number of times by repeatedly beating the game. So the paid DLC is actually dumb to buy. You're actually wasting your money if you buy it, because it's all in game and it's all technically unlimited. Even the kit, the camping kit, there's literally a better one in game. It's not even the best camping kit. So first of all, do not waste your money. None of it's actually even that good for its price. It's kind of a ripoff. Like the money you're paying for that, I already found a dude who sells harpy lures. I found a dude who sells the gold key. The rift crystals, easy to get. You get those every time your pond comes back. I've already found wake stones. So don't buy the DLC. That's dumb. It's literally dumb. It's in game. And like I said, you do have New Game Plus. You can continually farm the stuff by going through the game. So that's an important for advisor. None of that is a limited resource. None of it. Some of it isn't even a good item. Like some of it you'll find in game literally a lighter camping kit that's better. So you give a jade to a dude, you get like a half the weight of that camping kit. That's the other stuff, is that you want to really feel stupid, you buy something and then go in game and then you pick up something better and just go, did I just spend real money for something I found in game? Yeah, that can happen. So really don't buy it. That's important. Don't buy it. So don't buy anything. Everything that's in the DLC that's purchasable is available in game, and by the cycle is unlimited availability by going through the game. You can beat the game 3 times. You got 15 port crystals. You can teleport over the whole dang map. And I think your port crystals stay like they did before, so you don't even have to replace them. So don't buy. Don't buy. You'll be wasting your time. Same thing with wake stones. You used to could farm them. I don't know if you can farm them again, but you used to could end game farm wake stones. So that's an item you could literally farm before. You should be able to farm them again. Usually from elite enemies. So don't buy any DLC. The game is fun. It is harder than the previous game. And whether to buy it, my simple answer is this. Did you play Dragon's Dogma 1? If yes, then there's a next question. If no, don't buy it. I like to say don't buy it because it is harder than the first game if you have not played Dragon's Dogma. Now, if you play Dark Souls games and you like hard games, then you could go on to question 2. Because it's hard if you do not know how to play Dragon's Dogma, and you better like hard games. Now, if you like hard games, you play Dragon's Dogma and you liked it, it's very fun for people who like Dragon's Dogma. It is very fun because it is better than Dragon's Dogma 1 in combat and in dialogue and story. It is an improvement. It's a definite improvement, but it is harder. It depends. If you actually play Dragon's Dogma like me, it's easier. Like, I've killed a Cyclops at level 4. But
is he going to make it?
Huh?
Is he not going to make it? I think he's dropping along.
Okay, he'll be fine. If not, I mean, I'll,
Something went down the wrong pipe.
Sell his body for spare parts. But, no, but like I said, so that's my advisory. If you love Dragon's Dogma 1, buy it. If you liked Dragon's Dogma 1, take a look and see what you think. If you did not like Dragon's Dogma 1, hell no, it's more Dragon's Dogma 1. If you like hard games, go look at it. That's what I But if you love Dragon's Dogma 1, hell yeah, because I love Dragon's Dogma 1. Yeah. I've been having a ball.
All right, well, we're running out of time. I know you got to get back to your house for your kid. Last quick mentions. Apparently, Pokemon Company doubles down on some wokeness with the hiring of a director of diversity, equity, and inclusion and social responsibility.
The main thing is just the dialogue. Like, they went on a big anti-gamer rant. And the only reason we're bringing this up is not to say anti-woke. It's more of just, after the big PAL world pop up, this is an odd response that you get a big competitor that makes a lot of money, that's trying to compete with you, and your reply is to go big anti-gamer. It's just the weirdest response I've seen from a business, right? You would think you'd be like, man, we really need to... Wow, that is a really... They are going a weird direction. Sorry, you brought up a picture of one of the NPCs.
Yeah.
But that's just a weird response. Like, you would think Pokemon would be like, yo, our next new game, we're going to bring people back. Instead, they're like, yo, we think gamers are toxic and terrible, and we're going to try to get rid of these bad gamer elements. I'm just like, that's the opposite direction of trying to bring people into your franchise. Like, what a weird choice. So, again, this is just going back to what me and Bloodaxe were saying earlier about unfathomable business choices. Right, Bloodaxe? Just these business choices that we don't get. Like, this isn't the time when you've had your biggest competitor potentially appear to decide to form a bad relationship with your customer base. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. All right, last thing real quick.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, this is good news.
We got a quick show of Beetlejuice. New Beetlejuice 2 trailer dropped. Looks actually really good. I've got high hopes for this one.
Like I was saying, I'm a big Beetlejuice fan. I watched the cartoon, love the original movie. And with Gina Ortega, I have a lot of confidence. I mean, I like Tim Burton a lot. I'm a Tim Burton fan. And Gina Ortega earned a lot of my respect in Wednesday when she was very serious about her role, and she even clashed to a degree with with, you know, some of the directors and stuff about her character and being serious about making sure that the character was presented correctly. That let me know that she's somebody who's willing to say, hey, I don't, well, you know, I will speak up and say, don't screw up this character, don't screw up this concept. So I believe between her, Michael Keaton, and Tim Burton and Winona Ryder, we're going to get a good telling. I think that they're not going to let somebody walk in there and screw this up. Plus, it's Tim Burton, who's usually not going to screw up his own stuff, but occasionally he gets a little off target too. So I'm pretty optimistic that this is going to be good. You know, because everybody involved tends to take themselves serious enough to want to do a good job. That's my thing. She's got artistic integrity. Michael Keaton usually has some pretty good artistic integrity. You know, Tim Burton is hit or miss, but he'll listen. He's not a total psycho. I think if he's got actors that are saying, hey, Tim, why don't we pull it back a bit? You know what I mean? So yeah. I'm very optimistic for this, that we're going to get a good movie.
Looks good. I mean, dude, Gina Ortega has basically become Winona's Ryder's replacement for this century. I don't know.
Successor. Let's say
decade.
Successor.
Yeah, definitely the successor of Winona Ryder. I mean, we've seen her. I mean, doing Wednesday, which also another dark actress. Christina Ricci. You know, she's basically any dark actress in the 80s or 90s. You know, she's taken up their roles, I think.
Well, like I said, she takes herself serious enough that I think she'd walk away if she looked at it and said, this is trash.
Yeah.
So I have that confidence that you know that if they're going to put it out, it's going to at least be a decent movie. You know, in the 80s, you know, I'm expecting this to at least be an 8 out of 10. I don't think we're going to get trash. So hopefully nice nostalgia. I didn't see any amazing special effects there. That was the only downside. They really kept it toned. They kept it pulled back. You know, I expected the Beetlejuice reveal to maybe be a bit flashier, but maybe they're holding back on that. Maybe
this was more of a teaser anyway.
Yeah, so, but I'm optimistic, so hey, you know, let's see what we get. And, you know, I didn't see anything bizarre yet, so I'm optimistic for it. What do you think? Bloodaxe, you're in that age range to remember Beetlejuice.
I liked Beetlejuice back in the 80s, but so many times we've gotten sequels that nowhere came close to the original that I got to the point where I don't have a lot of optimism when it comes to sequels. I mean, look at what happened with the fourth Matrix movie, you know, so. I
mean, there was only one Matrix movie anyway.
No shit, right? So,
yeah, I mean,
it's always, you know, as fans, you want more of the content, you want more of the lore and deeper stories, but so many times we've just been given crap. So, I'll wait to see, you know, closer to where September, if it's even worth going to go see or not. But
all right, I agree with that.
It's so easy to get your hopes up, only to get, you know, heartbroken again. So
I mean, luckily Beetlejuice was sort of a light-hearted, easygoing movie to begin with. Hopefully they just keep it that way. They don't try to add too much context or, you know.
Yeah, like, it wasn't like there should be like some super Beetlejuice lore they could ruin. So I'm expecting it to be a fun movie. The dark humor was, you know, kind of cutting edge at the time, you know, and that's what was so great about it was the different way people died, and you know, and the stories that Tim Burton came out with, but just the actresses themselves. I mean, it was a very good chemistry with Gina Davis, Alec Baldwin, and them. But I am kind of curious to see how they're going to take the story. What's the new Beetlejuice story that they need to tell that hasn't already been told? Give me something with some meat on the bone, and then we'll see. But
I don't know if it needs meat. Not everything needs meat. Let's just have a fun movie, dude.
I have a theory because from what I've seen in the trailer, it seems to be implied that Lydia's passed, because I think he refers to her as the ghostess with the mostest and her daughter, implying that Lydia may have passed, which may make her vulnerable to Beetlejuice now that she's also a ghost. So Gina may be trying to protect her mother from Beetlejuice because, she's no longer got the protection of being on the other side, which could explain why why her daughter has to engage with Beetlejuice. She might be like, oh crap, mom's on the other side with Beetlejuice. A very interesting thing, because Beetlejuice could have been like, hey, I'll just wait for you. You're going to have to come over here eventually. And that's an interesting story. He's just like, I'll get my revenge. You got to come over here one day. Hey. Because maybe the other two moved on finally, because eventually you move on.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
So, hang on, one more thing. So, next week, I will hopefully have enough data to go over Grounded 1.4. I've only gotten bits and pieces from the dev stream yesterday, so hopefully we'll have all the bullet points of what we can expect on the last and final update for Grounded.
Oh, well, yeah, we'll bring it to everybody live then. We'll let you know when we find out.
All right.
And we'll let y'all know what we catch.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out Dicejunkies.com, where you find links everywhere we are online, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell on our YouTube channel. And